With the new addition of the pitch clock in the MLB, games have averaged around 2 hours and 38 minutes, which is 25 minutes shorter than last year's average of 3 hours and 3 minutes. The games being much shorter now made me wonder, how short was the shortest baseball game? So I went to Google and trusted the first source I found. When searching for the shortest baseball game, I found two results: a 1910 matchup between the Mobile Seagulls and the Atlanta Crackers, and a 1916 matchup between the Asheville Tourists and the Winston-Salem Twins. Starting out with the longer of the two games, the Mobile Seagulls and the Atlanta Crackers duked it out in a 32-minute long matchup. This game was played at Ponce de Leon Park in Atlanta, Georgia, which is famous for having a massive magnolia tree in center field. This tree was actually part of the field, and it wasn't behind a fence or anything, it was actually in play. Aside from the tree, it was nearing the end of the season and both teams didn't really have much else to play for, so it's believed that they were just messing around and trying to break the record for the shortest baseball game ever, which was 44 minutes at the time. According to Saber and other newspaper accounts, the teams would run on and off the field and start playing with no warm-ups in between innings. The New York Times stated that the batters would, quote, bat on the run, mostly swinging at the first pitch. Fielders combined a total of 35 assists, and most of the players just hit ground balls. The Atlanta Journal stated that the pitchers Bill Chappelle and Hank Griffin pitched excellent games and looked like the minted steam engines, as they recorded one walk and one strikeout between the two of them. There were also some pretty interesting plays, it seems, as the Seagulls were able to successfully turn a triple play. They caught a flyout in right field, doubled off the runner at first, and then tagged a runner trying to steal home. So a 9-3-2 triple play, which seems pretty impressive. The Mobile Seagulls ended up winning the game 2-1 with an RBI single and a run scored off a triple, followed by a wild pitch. Win Montgomery, who does some research for Saber, studies the box scores and found that the game had 62 plate appearances, which rounded out to about 31 seconds per at-bat. Now, let's look at the shortest baseball game of all time, coming in at a whopping 31 minutes, 1 minute shorter than the previous. This game was played in 1916 between the Asheville Tourists and the Winston-Salem Twins. Not much is known about this game since there are no box scores or newspapers about it, but it was pretty similar to the previous game. It was nearing the end of the season, and no one really cared. Both teams actually agreed to start the game over half an hour early because the Twins had to catch a train later that day. Because of this, fans who were thinking they arrived at the ballpark early ended up only catching the tail end of the game. The pitchers were lobbing the pitches so everyone could get their at-bats over with, and if anyone hit the ball, they just kept running until they either scored or were tagged out. Supposedly, the fielders would start walking off the field before the inning was over to keep the game going. I assume they also played with no warm-ups or breaks in between innings too. CBS's Dan Perry said in the book, A History of Professional Baseball in Asheville, which is quite a specific name for a book, the most unusual play of the game took place in the top half of the third inning. Asheville pitcher Doc Lowe delivered the ball before his catcher was behind the plate. The Winston-Salem batter singled to center field and tried to advance to second base when the outfielder's throw headed to the visitor's dugout. Frank Nesser, the Twins' on-deck hitter, snagged the ball and threw out his teammate with a perfect peg to the Keystone sack. The Winston-Salem Twins ended up winning the game 2-1, and the fans did get refunded for the game.